the hearing today was not open to the public. I did not, yeah. So it was an ex parte hearing. Pardon me. And so the hearing today was closed. It was only the defense. The prosecution was not there. And the purpose of this hearing was to basically, was to basically get money in order to hire expert witnesses. And the reason it was an ex parte hearing and not a public hearing is because the defense believes that giving the identity of the witnesses, of the expert witnesses, and the type of the expert witnesses would reveal their defense strategy. And that is not something they're ready to do because, again, we have not had discovery in this case yet. So that's why it was closed. You know, it was actually, I'm glad that I went today because several reporters were there, including Cher from the Prince William Times. And we were chatting, and she's got a story coming out today about the Timothy Hickerson case, who's being extradited from Florida in the murder of Shane Donahue, who's been missing, for 14 years. So that's another case that I'm covering because Shane Donahue's case is one of the very first cases that we covered on our podcast all the way back in 2020. I also requested the body cam footage and some of the motions. So they're going to be emailing those to me for this case, for Naresh's case. They'll be emailing those to me anytime. So we'll have all of that information as well. No, they have not found Mamta's remains yet, unfortunately. So I thought that today, since we don't really have a lot of, new information from a hearing, that we could just talk about the case and I could answer any questions that you guys have so far. Do we know if the DNA has come back? We do not know. It does not appear that it came back as of Friday because Sarah Sammy, the Commonwealth's attorney, said in court that, she's talking about test results, and she said that the presumptive test results were positive for blood, but that they cannot say that it's Mamta's blood. So I think we are still waiting on the DNA. What's happening with Naresh's parents? Are they coming back to USA? I have not heard anything about that. So I don't know. As far as I know, they're in Nepal or around Nepal. So I don't know. As far as I know, they're in Nepal or around Nepal. I've heard that. Sorry, I got a phone call. So I'm really not sure. But I have not heard anything about them coming back to the States. So what happened in court today, just to go over it again, it was a closed hearing. The public was not allowed in. It was an ex parte hearing, which is just the defense going in front of the judge and asking for money to hire expert witnesses. And they wanted to make it ex parte, meaning that the public and the prosecution were not allowed in because they believe that talking about the witnesses and giving their identities and the type of witnesses they are will harm the defense's strategy. We haven't had discovery yet, so the defense does not want to reveal their trial strategy at this point. Were the tenants at home on the day the water usage went up? I do not know. They did not bring that up at the hearing on Friday. Discovery, I have another video about it, but discovery is basically a motion that's filed in trials. And it means that about 60 days prior, in this case, about 60 days prior to the trial, each party, the defense and the prosecution, has to basically give the other one all of their evidence, everything that they've had. So any testing they've had done, testimony, witness lists, all of that information, they have to hand over to each other because you're not supposed to have any surprises in court. So everybody's supposed to kind of go into the trial on an even playing field. But with that said, prior to that actual official discovery happening, each side wants to hold as much information back as possible from the other side. What's my name? My name is Kona. I host a podcast about unsolved missing persons cases called And Then They Were Gone, and that's how I got involved in this. And also I live nearby. Oh, thank you. Relax me. Why is DNA taking so long? Just the lab being backed up would be my guess. There's a lot going on. But I assume it's going to be here very quickly. Body cam footage for wellness check is out. That is true. I actually just requested my own copy from the court this morning. So they're going to be emailing it to me. So I'll be putting that up here and on YouTube, and we'll be going over it because it's really important, I think, to get a clear understanding of this by looking at what he told police on August 2nd versus what he said to reporters a week or so later. And I think that once you can really see those two things side by side, it's pretty intense. Yes, it is already on YouTube. So you all can go see it now. WJLA, that's who I first saw posting it yesterday. Has the defense decided against a Franks hearing? No, the Franks hearing is still on the schedule. It is scheduled for Friday. Do I think he'll be found guilty? I do. I think he's going to be found guilty of this, and I think he's going to be charged with murder and be found guilty of that as well. Is her family okay and being taken care of? Her brother was in court Friday, and I can't imagine how difficult that must have been for him. Her mother, thankfully, decided to stay home with the baby that morning, so she wasn't there, which honestly I think is probably for the best. But they've got the community, they've got Mamta's friends, and so I think, they're doing okay, like as okay as they can be in this situation. If we have a gift for Mamta's family, where to take it? Right now, they're not disclosing their location. I believe there is going to be a candlelight vigil for Mamta, so you may be able to drop it off there if you wanted to. Yeah, we don't know if Mamta's mom and brother are going to be able to stay in the U.S. permanently or what's going to happen with that. I think we're kind of just taking it day by day. Listen, I don't know anything about visa processes, but between that and CPS and Naresh's trial, I think that they're going to be able to stay here for a while. And I think they're just going to try to figure out the legal aspect of it in terms of Naresh first, because again, he still does have parental rights at this point. He was going to say she was about to get a citizenship, but stopped himself. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, so again, today was just an ex parte hearing. It was closed to the public. The defense is asking for money to hire their own expert witnesses. We don't know what expert witnesses they're looking for, but the biggest piece of evidence against him other than the CCTV videos is of course the blood evidence. So my guess is that the witnesses that they're asking for is going to have to do with that, whether that's somebody who can speak to Blue Star technology, whether it's somebody who can just a general blood spatter expert, just something along those lines, would be my guess, but we do not know. Why did they not charge him for murder? They will. I'm very confident that they will. I think they're just waiting. There's no benefit to them to charging him sooner rather than later. He's already in jail, which is exactly where he would be if they charged him with murder too. I think that they're just kind of waiting to see how this goes before charging him. Also, he was going to sell the house but didn't tell the basement people. I mean, yeah, I think they knew, right? Like, because I think I did see something about, like, they knew because, like, painters were coming or something like that. They had an idea, but do you really think he's that considerate of a landlord? I mean, based on the real estate photos from when he bought the house a year ago, he's renting a basement out to a family that doesn't have a kitchen or laundry. So, do we have confirmation that the Tesla data is what took them all to all the dump locations? I think partially. So yes, the Tesla data did play a part in that. I think cell phone data played a part in that. But there was one dump in particular. I believe it was the 1:30 a.m. dump in Falls Church, in which he did not have his cell phone with him. So I think that one was all Tesla data. Can't they charge him if they don't find the body? Absolutely. And I think they will. I think they're just waiting again to just get through this charge. Also, it doesn't make sense about how she had 3 phones. Now, I don't know about the 3rd phone. So she had a phone. Naresh destroyed it, allegedly, in February. Then her friend gave Mamta one of her old phones. And that, to my knowledge, is the phone that she had when she went missing. So I know about the 2 phones. I don't know about a 3rd phone. But I know that Naresh said that, but did they locate the bags from the dumpsters? Not that we're aware of. But again, I think, they could be holding evidence back. But they have not said that they've located any of the bags from the dumpsters. In body cam, he looks so confused and his eyes are looking so weird and guilty. I mean, the word vomit, and I said this in the recap video, like, and now that you all have seen it too, like, the fact that he just opens the doors, like, like, just giving all of these crazy stories right off the bat. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think if they had one female officer there, things would have gone differently, because I don't think there's a woman in the world who would have looked at that dude, listened to them, and been like, yeah, this checks out. Everything seems fine. I just don't think so. The body cam footage had me amazed the officers believe that. Same. And honestly, it just seems like a very dude response to me. Like, oh, go through a divorce. She took off. All right. Like, what? Yeah, exactly. I do think if a female officer was present, she would have seen the red flags. Yeah, like, why would she leave her baby? Exactly. And he's like, oh, well, she does this all the time. She's left her baby before. She says she's going to come back for the baby. Like, give me a break. And he was saying how Mamta did not want to live with his parents too. And, that's true. So, like, that's interesting, right? When you look at somebody who's telling lies, there is some truth present in the things that they say. And that part is true. They did fight about his parents living there. Like, she did not get along with his parents. She wanted to be just, the 3 of them. So I think that part's absolutely true. It's the rest of it that, Do you think they'll be able to locate any of the bags at this point? I hope so. I'm concerned about the ones in Falls Church that were in a trash compactor. That's certainly going to be an issue, but perhaps the ones in Prince William. Yeah. I agree. He is all over the place in body cam video, and the interview he gave in YouTube does not align. Yeah, the Katie Lusso interview is just 180 degrees different. And frankly, like, I mean, I think I said that too. It's like, if I were the detective watching that interview, I would have arrested him that day. Just because you're giving a completely different story. Like, give me a break. I know, the shoes were right there. He showed it to the cops. Yeah, Mamta's shoes were on the porch because what it seems like is she came home from work, or no, she had been there because she came home from work on the 27th. She had been alive, but she came home, she took her shoes off and never put them back on again. Hey, I was not able to get into court. It was closed. It was an ex parte hearing. But some reporters were there, so I got to chat with them. But yeah, they were just asking for money for defense expert witnesses. And the Franks hearing is still on for Friday. You really need to catch up? Well, I've got like 80 videos on my playlist. Why did he check for chicken farms? Dude, I don't know. So here's the thing. I've covered like close to 200 missing persons cases on our podcast. And I cannot tell you how many of them, when somebody's missing, there's a rumor that goes around that says, oh, well, so-and-so killed them and dumped their body on a pig farm because pigs will eat like all of a human, like, bones and all. But a chicken farm's a new one to me. I cannot say that I've heard that before. So that was definitely new. I don't really know what to make of it. Somebody said on Facebook, they had a theory that the trash at a chicken farm just has a really pungent odor. And so maybe he was thinking of like dumping things on a chicken farm because it would mask the smell. That's really kind of all I can come up with. I don't know. Also wonder how he's able to clean up all the bloodstains from the carpet. He wasn't, as we saw. So, yeah, didn't do a great job there. Why did he search the brain diagram? That's another one that I'm not sure. It does lead me to believe that he did hit her. Like that there was like a blunt force object, like that he hit her, and maybe she wasn't dead, but he was like trying to determine like what part of the brain the blow might affect, or like how fatal it might have been. I don't know. I mean, that's just speculation. The chicken farm and the brain diagram were just very weird moments in court. How could he do this with kitchen knife alone? I don't think he did. Like, that's the thing. I can't, like, have you ever gone to an Airbnb or like somebody else's house and tried to cook with like their shitty knives? I can't imagine that he did this with like two $9.99 Walmart knives. Like, I don't know. Somebody did bring up like a traditional Nepali sword knife thing that they had in the home that is supposed to be really sharp. So maybe that, I don't know. Kukuri. Yeah. Yeah, somebody said in a TikTok about chemicals, but the thing with chemicals is there would have been traces of that, And also, where is he going to get to chemicals? Like, obviously, he buys shit and, like, takes his cell phone with him, is caught on CCTV. If he had bought chemicals, like, I feel like we would have known by now, This guy isn't smart enough to, like, go on the dark web and order stuff. He's going to Walmart and buying knives. Like, he's buying contractor bags from Lowe's. Like, he's not a criminal mastermind. I think he wanted to paint the house later to hide blood, started it earlier, make it look like a sale. Maybe. I really don't know how premeditated this actually was. I think it's maybe something he had been thinking about, but not outright planning, if that makes sense. I think that, you know, him being in Baltimore all day, maybe led to a fight that could have potentially gotten out of hand. That, you know, he was probably always going to go down this road, but I don't necessarily think that he had planned it for that day or anything like that. Do I think Netflix should make a documentary about it? I mean, I think it's certainly going to be a Dateline episode. Is it true he makes Mamta's body pieces of chicken meat? No, we don't know that. All we know is that he searched chicken farm near me. Anything beyond that is speculation. Did he faint in court? Thank you for asking this because I wanted to bring this up. So I did not know what had happened in court. So he was sitting on this side. I was on the opposite side in the second row, and I had a decent view of him. But I was also, I think it was actually when we were watching the body cam video. So I was like focusing on that, and I was writing notes, and I saw him like lean over, and then all the deputies surrounded him. There were like 4 deputies in the courtroom, and I couldn't see him after that because like the deputy's back was like right in front of my face basically. So I couldn't see what was going on. And so I thought he might have been like almost fainting or whatever. But nobody, like none of the attorneys or the judge seemed alarmed at all. So that didn't really make sense. Somebody else who had a better view said that basically it looked like his interpreter like dropped a piece of paper on the floor or something, and Naresh leaned down to go get it. But like, you're not allowed to do that. And so that's why the deputies like kind of pounced on him. I think it was actually nothing. Oh, my coffee is leaking. Oh, hopefully that's just water. Have they released the dumpster footage? No. I was actually kind of surprised that they released the body cam footage, but that was admitted into evidence. The dumpster footage has not been admitted into evidence yet, so we won't have that. Do you think he drugged her before he killed her? I would have to think that either he drugged her or incapacitated her in some other way. Like I said, potentially a blow to the head. Oh, good. I just got the email with like the body cam footage and the motions. So I'll be able to go over all that. So yeah, I think he incapacitated her in some way. I don't think this was like some long drawn out, loud fight. Because a lot of people have asked about the tenants in the basement, and I think it's reasonable that the tenants wouldn't hear a lot. But I think if it was some long, drawn out, loud fight that lasted, you know, a half an hour or something like that, that they would have heard something. But it doesn't sound as though they did. Like I said, though, we haven't heard all the evidence, so that could also be something that the prosecution's holding back. The water consumption is nuts, but it's really not that crazy. It's basically running the bathtub for an hour. Like from what it sounds like, the amount of water consumption is if you turn the bathtub faucet on and kept it on for about an hour, it would be about 150 gallons. Did I see Naresh's reaction when they were telling all this? I could see him a little bit. He was pretty stone-faced, pretty stoic, just kind of sat there. And that's how he's been at every hearing. Yes, he's still in custody. He's going to remain in custody until his trial in December. Yeah, he's in jail. He's not in prison. So he's being held in the Prince William Adult Detention Center. So today we didn't really find out anything. It was an ex parte hearing that was just the defense asking for money for expert witnesses. The Franks hearing is going to be on Friday. I did a video about that yesterday. Basically, they're going to the defense is trying to get the arrest warrant thrown out because because Detective Ventura put a false statement on it. And so it's going to be a mess. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to get the defense anywhere. But, it could be something to bring up in future appeals. How have they not found anything yet? They found a lot. They have a lot of evidence. And I mean, I have 17 pages of notes from Friday. Like, we have a lot of evidence in this case. Unfortunately, we don't have Mamta. Do I live in Virginia? Yeah, that's why I'm covering this. I live about 45 minutes away from the courthouse. And so yeah, so that's why I've been covering this so closely. On the podcast, I cover cases from everywhere, from all over. And we have covered a couple local ones as well. But, yeah, the reason why I've been like doing all the videos and coming to the courthouse is just because I am nearby. Do I think they'll ever find Mamta's body? I hope so. Unfortunately, there have been other cases that I've covered in which the bodies have ended up in landfills that have not been able to be recovered. Typically, those cases are ones, though, where years have gone by. Like, the person went missing years and years and years ago. So by the time we know that that's where they are, it is very too late. I'm hoping that we're early enough in this that they will be able to recover something. You've been following me since I covered my friend's case. It was so sad. It was. So for those of you that case is the case of Steve Causey. He is a friend of mine from high school who was murdered last year in Florida. And at first he was missing. So that's he was my friend. So I was going to try to draw attention to his case regardless, but he was missing. And so I got involved with it because of that as well. And he was determined to have been murdered. His body, unfortunately, has not been able to be recovered. And police have said that it won't be able to be recovered. So that's tough. The trial in his case is starting in January. Can police take cadaver dogs to the landfills? Yes, they can. I hope they have, because Lugo said that they have been to some landfills. So I'm hoping that they took dogs, because there's no point if you can't take dogs. You're not going to find anything, I pray we get the DNA in October. Me too, if not sooner. But yes. Does he get internet there in jail? His TikTok account has new point. I don't think that's his TikTok account. I think that's a TikTok account that one of his supporters has started. I don't think that he's controlling that at all. Will this be uploaded to my YouTube? Yes. Is the evidence public knowledge? Yes. Not everything. So everything will be public knowledge after the trial. What's public knowledge now, in terms of evidence, is the body cam footage, the photos, and the text messages between Naresh and the police officer on August 4th. So those are all exhibits that are available to the public right now. Will CCTV be released of him going to Walmart? I expect it'll be released at the trial, yes. Does Naresh have to answer why he had to throw so many bags around? No, he doesn't have to answer to everything. The defense will, likely come up with a theory and present that at trial, but he does not have to speak at any point during this. Oh, Zeffy's back to to let everybody know what's going on. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Did I request the text messages from the court between Naresh and cops? I actually didn't. I looked at them today. I looked at it because you can look them up. And I had pretty much, it's just what I had put in my notes. It was nothing interesting. It was just the Naresh texting the cop on the 4th saying that Mamta hadn't come back, and the cop said, okay, well, if you think she's missing, go ahead and call 911. And he just said, then Naresh said, thank you. Is there a chance he might confess? My theory, I did cover this in a video that I think I called, Will Naresh Take a Plea Deal? I do not think he's going to take a plea deal on this charge. I fully expect this to go to trial, and that he will be found guilty. At some point, whether it's before this trial or after, I do also believe he'll be charged with murder. And I think that there's a chance he could confess if he's offered a lighter sentence. Because right now he could be facing life in prison. Not on this charge, of course. On this charge, the maximum is 5 years. What do you think the video that is now on TikTok, the police visit? Yeah, we were talking about that. We watched that in court, and it's absolutely insane to me how different his story was between what he told the police and what he told the reporter. So I have the court just emailed me the body cam video, so I'm going to actually make like a side-by-side of part of what he told the police versus what he told Katie, because it's unbelievable to me. They may plead no doubt to manslaughter if he says there's a crime of passion. I think that, and again, not a lawyer. I think that's going to be tough if and when he gets convicted of concealing a dead body, because I think that the malice and forethought involved in, concealing her over a period of days and, hiding all this evidence, I think it's going to make a manslaughter charge a lot more difficult. So, I mean, I think it'll still be murder. But, maybe they'll give him a chance for parole at some point. Again, I'm just not super up to date on sentencing guidelines and parole and all that kind of stuff in Virginia. What about his girlfriend who he's mentioning to his friend? I don't know. We do know that the woman from Baltimore has been in touch with police. I don't know if that's his girlfriend. I don't know who that is. I don't want to start any rumors or anything. But if that's his girlfriend, then she's been talking to police. So I'm kind of hopeful that it's her, just because, I'd rather that it's a known entity to police rather than just some random lady out in the world somewhere who they don't know about. But again, based on how sloppy Naresh has been with his electronic data, I would imagine now that police have access to all of that, it's probably pretty easy for them to figure out who it is. Oh, look at my hat. Is there a psychiatrist involved in this case to, hold on, let me scroll back down. Something to determine Naresh's behavior. We don't know. Oh, another hat. Thank you. We don't know what experts either side is going to call yet. I'm glad I don't have my AirPods in, because that made a noise and it scared the shit out of me on Friday when I kept on making noises. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, so we don't know what experts are being called on either side yet. Does he look at the audience at any point? No, oh, thank you. Is that Angel? Like Angel who I know, Angel? No, he never looks at us in the audience. When he came in on Friday, he smiled at his attorney. He actually seemed kind of confident when he came in. I think he was expecting to get out on Friday. Hold on, I lost it. Okay. Did they show the Tesla video of Naresh carrying bags? No. So I expect them to show all of that at trial. They did not show that. The only video that we've seen is the body cam video. He smiled. Yeah, he smiled to Mr. Ben Alverham, his attorney. Glad he was disappointed Friday. Agreed. You know, I was thinking, it was so funny because when it's such a weird space for me to occupy right now. Because I'm not a reporter, I'm not a journalist. And so I'm not bound to journalistic ethics, including being unbiased. I think it's very clear that I do have a bias. With that said, I try to be fair. And I that's the same on the podcast too. Like, I have an opinion, and I'll make my opinion known, but I try, thank you for the hat. But I try to be as fair as possible when looking at all of the evidence presented. And in my opinion, I believe that Naresh did this. And so I get to see that because I don't work for the Prince William Times or WJLA or anything like that. Thank you very much. I achieved a life goal. Don't know what my goal was, but I'm glad to have achieved something in my life. But yeah, I don't work for a news outlet. I work for myself. And so I can kind of say what I feel, and, they can't. So it's weird whenever I'm in court because I'm not a journalist, so I'm not like press, but I'm reporting on it. So it kind of feels weird. Like I'm not like solely a supporter either, even though I very much am. But I don't know. I was just like talking to the real reporters today who came for the hearing. And, I don't know. It's just a weird kind of place to be right now, but I like it. Does the Tesla location data help in the investigation? Absolutely. And we found that out on Friday. It helped a lot. And we have a lot new information that the defense wasn't expecting the prosecution to have. And so they were definitely caught wrong-footed on Friday by that. Naresh either took a long shower or he was spending a lot of time cleaning the shower or the tub up. Thank you, Guns and Butter. I appreciate it. They have not found her body, no. If he gets sentenced to prison, will he lose parental rights to Nima? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't know. I talked a little bit ago about the diagram of the brain and the chicken farm. I don't know. Those were very confusing. Did they check the sewer drain outside? We don't know. I would assume they would have. The baby, from what I understand, is doing very well. She's with family. She's with Mamta's friends. So everything seems to be good in that regard. As good as it can be, of course. Will her grandparents be able to take her to Nepal? We don't know what's happening with her yet in terms of like long-term custody arrangements. I know that Naresh does not want her to go to Nepal. He did tell his friend that. But because he just doesn't believe there's going to be opportunities for her there. And now, I'm like, well, who gives a shit what he thinks? But I think that, Naresh and Mamta came to this country for a reason. And I don't know Mamta, but I would think that she would maybe want her daughter to stay here for those same reasons. But we'll just have to see what ends up happening. What will happen if they don't find her body? Will her husband be free? No, you can absolutely convict somebody without a body. I'm not worried about that. I want them to find her body just so she can be laid to rest properly and give some sort of closure to her family. I mean, closure doesn't really exist in these cases, but it would help. But I don't think it's necessary at all for the prosecution. Yeah, I agree that the family is the best caregiver. So there could be a possibility of them staying here. I don't know. We're just really going to have to see how that whole thing plays out. Regardless, I mean, I think what is important is that Mamta's daughter is with, people who love her and will care for her and protect her. And I think she will be. Can they recover the bags he dumped? Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's what we're really hoping for. We don't know what they've recovered other than the one bag with the bath mat from the donation bin. How many years can he get if no body is found? That doesn't affect it. He can still get, if he's charged with homicide, gets convicted, he can absolutely still be sentenced to the maximum sentence, even without a body. I don't know if they've taken the dogs to the landfill. I'm hoping they have. Can he also get court-martialed? I am not in the military either, but since he's been discharged, I wouldn't think so. All right. Is the FBI involved? Not to my knowledge. If they are, I think it's only on like an electronic data level. They might be assisting with that, but I don't think they're like really that heavily involved. Do you think his lawyer knows the truth? No. I mean, I don't think Naresh has confessed, if that's what you're asking. I think that Naresh has kept his mouth shut and said that his wife took off. We don't have any information on yesterday's search, unfortunately. It was very quick. They were in and out in less than 45 minutes from what I heard. It was not a new search warrant that they were there on. So I don't believe that they like collected anything. They might have been going in to take measurements or photos or something of that nature. The public was not allowed inside the court today. It was an ex parte hearing, so the public and the prosecution were not allowed in. It was just the defense asking for money to hire expert witnesses. Did police recover the rug from the donation bin? Yes, they did. Do I think they will offer a confession plea deal? Not on this charge, but I think it's a possibility for a murder charge. Why would he donate that and not trash it? Good question. I could not believe that myself. Like, why not burn it? Like, I mean, even dumping it, like, it was so weird. Also, and this is a little bit beside the point, but it was so strange to me, and because I'm a realtor as well, that's why I have such like a loose schedule during the day. But Sarah Sammy, when she was talking about the bath mat, she's like, well, we have Redfin photos that showed a bath mat that looks like this in the bathroom, as well as 2 other bath mats that are still there. And I was just thinking, like, those Redfin photos are from the previous owners. Like, they kept the previous owners' bath mats? Like, that's so weird. I would not want somebody else's bath mats in my bathroom, but, whatever. It's just me. If he confessed to his own lawyer, would the lawyer be obligated to reveal that? No, but he cannot knowingly present false information in court. So if Naresh tells his lawyer, yes, I killed her, the lawyer can't then get up in court and say she ran away because he knows that to be false. So typically what happens if the lawyer kind of finds out information like that is they recuse themselves. So he'll basically say, I cannot, defend this person any longer, but the confession is protected by attorney-client confidentiality. So he couldn't tell them why he's recusing himself. Thank you, Zeffie, for keeping everybody informed. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nini. Yeah, a few weeks ago while searching the park, I think they found something. The police said yes. They did find something in Signal Hill Park. We do not know what, though. Was Naresh in the court today? I don't know. We were not allowed inside. Yes, Naresh does have a lawyer, Mr. Ben Alverham, who is a senior attorney at the Prince William Public Defender's Office. The next court date is on Friday, and that is the Franks hearing. It is Friday at 9 a.m., and that is basically going to be the defense trying to get the arrest warrant thrown out. After all the evidence presented, will the lawyer believe his story? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not, honestly, but it doesn't really matter what he believes. It only matters what he knows. And it's still his job to put on a strong defense for his client, regardless of, whether or not he thinks his client is guilty. Did Naresh hire his lawyer? No, his lawyer is from the public defender's office, and he was appointed. Thank you, Alma. I appreciate it. Something about... Oh, gosh. All right, I don't know. How did he get a seemingly good lawyer? Luck or abuse of power? I would say luck. And, I've been pretty impressed with the attorneys that I've seen. And, yeah, he does have a really good lawyer. But that's good. I'm glad he has a really good lawyer because, yes, I'm on the Commonwealth's side on this case, but, that's not always the case. And I would not want to be sitting in that courtroom watching this case with Naresh having a bad attorney, because I don't want to feel sorry for him. I don't want him to have any reason to appeal this based on ineffective assistance of counsel. So I'm very glad that he has a competent, talented attorney. Why did he want to know what the brains look like? I don't know. Anything is just speculation at this point. Oh, thank you, Radha. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Do you think Mamta was abusing him financially? No. I think it was the opposite. I think he was abusing her financially. He emptied out their bank accounts, their joint bank accounts. He wouldn't give her a car. She had to Uber everywhere. It sounds like he controlled all of their money. Oh, you saw me this morning, Ruby? I was there. Hi. Is it true that somebody gave him a ride, said that Naresh had a trash bag that smelled terrible? Yeah, that's what I heard early on. But, that has not been talked about in court yet. So I don't have any firm information on that. Did they find out who was in the black car? That's interesting. And that was a big thing that I noticed on Friday that I don't think I really had a chance to talk about because there's so much other stuff to talk about. But at the Brady hearing, the defense made a huge deal over this black car and this person who picked Mamta up on July 27th. And they said it was Brady because it was possibly exculpatory, meaning that it could possibly prove Naresh's innocence, which I didn't understand and which the Commonwealth didn't understand because Mr. Sweet got up and said, we know she was alive for several days after the 27th, so we don't really see how this is Brady or how it could prove his innocence, but whatever, if you want the hospital footage, take it. So he gave it over. He handed over the hospital footage, everything related to the hospital footage, photos of Mamta outside of the hospital. And at the bond hearing, the defense did not breathe a word about it. So whatever was on that footage, whoever picked Mamta up, clearly the defense did not find it helpful for their case because they did not bring it up at all at the bond hearing. So it is, I think, just a red herring. I don't know who it was, what the deal was, but it doesn't seem like it's important to this case at all, because the prosecution likewise didn't mention it at the bond hearing either. So Brady refers to a Supreme Court case. I believe it's Brady versus Maryland. And that means that if the prosecution is in possession of evidence that is possibly exculpatory, meaning that it could potentially aid in the defense or prove the defendant's innocence, that they have to turn that over to the defense and not wait till discovery. They have to turn it over in a reasonable time frame. And so this Brady hearing that we had, whenever it was, last week, or it's all blending together to me, you guys, was because the defense contended that the prosecution had this evidence that was important to them, that they needed to prove Naresh's innocence, that they were not handing over. So if the judge did order the prosecution to hand over a few things, which is mainly just the video from the hospital and her getting picked up on the 27th by the black car. This case has probably been your most popular you've reported on. Yeah, I think it has. It definitely has. I think only because this is the one that I've had the most firsthand knowledge of. So this is the one that I've been able to go to all of the hearings and everything. I was starting to do this with the Ronald Roldan Bethany Decker case in Loudoun earlier this year, but I don't know, for whatever reason it didn't occur to me to make videos after all the hearings, I guess. So I don't know, but he pleaded guilty and didn't end up going to trial. But we did do two podcast episodes on that. When they said the bed was pushed against the closet, is it against the bedroom door wall? No, it is the opposite wall, I believe. Thank you, Zeffy. No one was on in today. That is correct. Can you do Eric Smith case from Loudoun County? She was killed by a teenager, Erica Smith. Erica Smith, was she the one who was found in the woods in Sterling 20 years ago? So I don't do that on my podcast, because we only do unsolved missing persons cases on the podcast, but that could be potentially something I talk about here. Yeah. Oh. Thank you, Shruti, for bringing this up. The defense can also say that since he was planning to sell the home, he was trashing all the cleanup. And that is actually what the defense said on Friday. He said that, Naresh had been planning on selling the home for a while, even prior to Mamta's disappearance. And when you sell a home, you clean up. And that's why he needed to go buy those big black trash bags. And the reason that he was going to all these different dumpsters is because when you have a residential trash pickup, a lot of times they won't pick up. If you have 10 bags in front of your house, they're not going to pick it up. They'll only pick up what's actually in the bin. So it makes sense that, okay, he dropped the baby off at the babysitter's house. It makes sense that he dumped something in the dumpster there. So that was actually what the defense was saying in court on Friday. What about the knives and cleaning supplies? Okay, so kind of along the same lines. He said cleaning supplies are cleaning supplies. Everybody buys cleaning supplies. He bought carpet cleaner. I have carpet cleaner. And then the knives, he said, listen, these are Walmart knives. They're kitchen knives. You can get them from $9.99 to $14.99 at Walmart. These are normal knives that everybody has in their house. Where are the tenants living? Are they being talked to? We don't know where they're living. We don't need to know where they're living. These poor people need their privacy. But the police have been talking to them, yes. How do I think he killed her? Because he got the knives later. I think that he killed her using stuff that they already had in the house. So like I said, I think he might have hit her with something in the head, potentially. So something heavy that they already owned. Or perhaps, knives that he already had in the house. Yes, the baby is with family now. The baby is with Mamta's mother and brother here in Virginia. Yeah, people are talking about how they searched his house yesterday too. So they didn't search his house, they returned to his house. Chief Lugo said that they did not have another search warrant, but they were just doing a follow-up. So they didn't take anything. My guess is they were either like doing measurements or taking pictures or something along those lines. No new evidence since Friday. I do believe the truth will come out, or at least part of the truth will come out. Unfortunately, I think that there's a chance that we'll never know exactly what happened. And that's what happened with that case I was just mentioning, the Ronald Roldan, Bethany Decker case in Loudoun County. He pleaded guilty, and part of his plea was he had to basically tell them what he did to Bethany and where he put her. And the story that he gave, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, sounded like bullshit, basically. He kind of played it off as an accident. They got into a fight and she just fell and hit her head and then died. And then he put her body in a trash compactor in the apartment complex where they were living and hid it for 14 years or 11 years, however many years it was. So I think these people can't fully admit what they did. So I think if we ever do get to the point where Naresh does speak, it's going to be lies. There'll be some truth in it, but I don't think we're ever going to know what truly happened. Thank God he had this Tesla. One good thing that Elon did to collect the data. Yeah, I am not an Elon fan. In fact, when we bought an electric car last year, I specifically did not want to buy a Tesla because that guy sucks so much. But yeah, loving all of that data that they were able to collect. Loving all of that data that they were able to collect. Sorry, I got another phone call. Somebody asked if there were videos because of the Tesla cameras. Yes, some of the videos that the prosecution talked about in court were from the Tesla. Do we know what he was doing in Baltimore all day and who he was with? We don't, but I think the police have a pretty good idea, because the woman who apparently he was with has been speaking with police. Plus, they have all of his phone data and Tesla data, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, somebody asked for a quick recap. There really isn't much of one. The hearing was closed to the public. It was just the defense asking for money for expert witnesses. So all we've been doing on the live is just answering questions. Finish my coffee. I don't believe Mamta's mom was in, well, nobody was in court today, but on Friday, Mamta's mom was not there. Her brother was there though. And I did see him at the end of the hearing, and it did look obviously like he was having a difficult time, because I think, I know, it was awful in court on Friday. Do I have any timeline for hauling the DNA test? No, I don't. But I expect them back really any day. Did I go to the court hearing today? Yeah, but it was closed to the public. So I just chit-chatted with the real reporters in the hallway for a little while. When you're doing these kinds of reports, do you fear for your safety? You know, it's interesting. Not really. But like I said, I am a realtor. And a couple weeks ago, I had an opportunity to do an open house. And one of the things that you do when you do an open house is advertise it and say, hey, I'm going to be at 123 Main Street on Sunday from 2 to 4. So come on down and look at this house. And it was a day where my husband was working. And so I would have been, and the house was like rural too. And I would have been there by myself. And I was like, you know, I don't really know if I want to advertise that I'm going to be alone in a rural house for 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon. So I decided not to do the open house that day. And maybe that's overreacting, but like, I did not really feel comfortable. What do I think about the housing market in Nova? Well, I think that getting licensed in West Virginia is the best thing I've ever done, because most of my business has been people moving from Nova to West Virginia because it's significantly less expensive and really nice. So yeah, the prices here are not going down. And it's tough for people. But, you know, interest rates are coming down too. So hopefully that's going to help. How did I find out what the hearing was about? I had heard that in the Facebook groups yesterday, but it was confirmed by the reporters who were there today. And then I actually requested the motion itself. So I read that in the courtroom as well. And so it did say that he was asking for defense expert witnesses. It was closed because it was an ex parte hearing, and so it was closed to the public and to the prosecution. So it was only the defense and the judge in there, and it was a different judge. So the whole ex parte thing means that like it's somebody who's not connected to the court proceedings at all. So it was like a random judge who hasn't been the judge for any of the other hearings. It was Judge Coleman, hasn't been a judge for the hearings, will not be the judge on the trial. And they did that because they don't want anybody to know about the defense strategy at this point. The news said they're trying to get the search warrant taken away. They're actually trying to get the arrest warrant thrown out. They might be trying to say that if, you know, this arrest warrant was thrown out, then you wouldn't have been able to get subsequent search warrants. But I don't think so. I think they're kind of just trying to reach in a little bit. That's just my opinion. I have a question. Why is Mamta's work sending a welfare check when she only worked there for 20 days? I think that's a good question, but thank God that they did. Can you imagine if they didn't? If they were just like, oh, she's only worked here for 3 weeks and I guess she just isn't going to show up. How much more time would have gone by? Like, it is so glad that they did. I don't know why they did, if that's just a policy they have, but so good that they did. What's going to happen to Naresh and Mamta's house? That is a good question. Right now, it doesn't look like it's in pre-foreclosure or anything. I think that it's going to kind of stay in limbo for a little bit. And if and when he gets charged with homicide, it's probably going to get sold. But I don't know. Do you think I should slip his attorney my business card? Say, I can help sell it. Ugh. Who will buy and live there? Anybody. Like, honestly, the housing market is such that I think that it'll be cleaned up and sold with very little problem. Was any of Naresh's family there to support him? Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe so. Who will pay lawyer fees for Naresh? We are. It's the taxpayers, baby. So, the house would be considered evidence right now, right? Yeah, like, I'm surprised that the police let the tenants stay in there because it was a crime scene. But yeah, I mean, it is an active crime scene right now. I don't believe it has been released, but yeah, I don't know how that's going to affect everything. But they can't keep it forever, Oh, here's a question that I like and I know the answer to, because this is a real estate question. Is there a law that you have to disclose that someone died in a house? In Virginia, no. The only thing that you have to disclose are adverse material defects, material defects. So meaning if I know that there's a hole in the roof as a realtor, I have to tell potential agents and buyers that there's a hole in the roof. But if somebody died there, I don't have to say anything. The only thing I have to disclose is if there's a material defect or if it used to be a meth lab. Someone bought Chris Watts' house, so this one will also sell. Yeah, exactly. Yes, everybody's entitled to a defense under our Constitution, and when they can't afford one, then that gets put on to the taxpayers. If defense brings in expert witnesses, who pays for that? Same thing, taxpayers. And that's why they have to have this hearing to ask for the money. What if a buyer asks if there's a death in the house? Then yeah, then if they ask, so we also are under, as realtors, we're under a duty to be honest and fair. So if somebody asks a direct question, I have to answer them honestly. So if I were the realtor and I knew what had happened and someone says, hey, by the way, didn't anybody die in here? Yes, I would have to say they did. If I could get one answer from Naresh, what would I ask him? I would ask him specifically where and when he put her and like what went where, you know what I mean? Because my goal would be to find whatever remains we could find. So anything, regarding that in terms of motive, in terms of like whatever, I wouldn't want to ask him any of that because, who gives, like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I would just want to have the best chance of finding her and bringing her back to her family. Yeah, the amazing how he can afford Tesla in a house that's total $45,000 a month, but he can't afford a lawyer. It's more than that. His mortgage was $6,000, and then the Tesla was an additional like $1,200 plus car insurance. He couldn't afford it, and I think that's part of it. And I have a feeling that once we get into the trial, that the financial pressure he was under is going to go to motive. So I think he didn't want to pay child support in a divorce. I don't think he wanted Mamta to have any sort of alimony in a divorce. And I think this was just part of it. Like, I think he was going to sell the house and cut and run and just try to start over somewhere else with somebody else. Do I think his girlfriend helped him to get rid of the body? No. This is an unpopular opinion, but I have always, since the beginning, been of the opinion that he did not have an accomplice in this. I think there's a possibility that he had maybe he said things to people, but I don't think that he had an accomplice. I do think that he did this on his own. So I missed that there's info on a divorce, so it's confirmed he had a girlfriend. No. The only info that we have on, like, real info that we have on, like, divorce and girlfriend were his Google searches that he made. So he made Google searches relating to getting divorced, and he made that Google search of, like, Happy New Year's message for girlfriend. But that's all we have. So we do not officially know that he had a girlfriend. We, Mamta had also posted in Facebook groups that like she and her husband were going through a separation potentially. So like it was kind of there, but that's really all we have. Yeah, so I don't know if Naresh had a girlfriend, but the person who he was visiting in Baltimore apparently has been talking to police. Do you think he was stalking Mamta electronically and knew about her Facebook mom post? Oh, like you mean the post in the Facebook group? I think it's possible. But I don't know if he was. Like, he might have just been too self-absorbed, honestly, to worry too much about it. But maybe. You're not answering my... I don't know what your questions were. I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff scrolling. I'm trying. What's your friend's name, Steve? Steve Causey. He and I were in drama together in high school. He was a friggin' hoot. He was so funny, dude. And he became a lawyer in Florida. And yeah, unfortunately, he was murdered last year by a plastic surgeon. It's a fucked up case. And, he's going on trial. The plastic surgeon's going on trial in January. We ended up doing a couple of episodes on the podcast about it as well. It was really, really sad. Today's hearing is done. Yep, trial starts in December. Thank you, Duffy. We do have the Franks hearing on Friday, though. So the next hearing will be on Friday. The mom post, I think they were referring to the post she made in like the single mom support groups on Facebook. No, I've talked about the person in the background of the interview. It was a man who was dropping off food. It's nobody. I mean, I'm sure he's a very nice man, but no, it's not important to the case. The Frank hearing, I did a video on that yesterday that goes into depth on that, but basically this hearing, they're going to try to get the arrest warrant thrown out because Detective Ventura put false information on it. She hand wrote in that there was proof that the body was dragged out of the house when she did not actually have proof that the body was dragged out of the house, just that it appeared that the body had been dragged from one room to another. Were they in an arranged marriage? I've heard kind of like mixed answers to this. It doesn't sound like they were. From what I've heard, it was a love marriage, and that Mamta's family like wasn't super into the idea. What's the max sentence for his current charges? 5 years. Class 6 felony is punishable by 1 to 5 years, and a $2,500 fine. The Friday hearing is about trying to throw out the arrest warrant. Do you think Naresh's lawyer keeps doing these motions to find out what proof there are against him? I think that's part of it. I don't think that's the sole reason he's doing this, but I do think that's part of it. I really believe, based on Naresh's demeanor when he entered court on Friday, and the fact that his attorney did not think that they had anything good from the Tesla data, or cadaver dogs, I think that they were confident that they were going to get bond on Friday. So I think that's why he had that second bond hearing. I think it helped him because now he has a lot more information, but I genuinely think that they thought they were going to get bond. Whoops. All right. Oh God. What happens if they throw out the arrest warrant? I don't think much will happen, honestly. I don't think it'll work. And if it does, they arrested him on August 22nd. They have a lot more probable cause for an arrest now than they did on August 22nd. So I think the absolute worst case scenario is that this would get thrown out and they wouldn't be able to recharge him on this charge, in which case I think they just bring the murder charge. So I really don't think that substantially anything's going to happen. No, he is not. Yes, sorry. So somebody said, what, just 5 years? But he is charged of concealing body, which is equivalent to murder, right? Nope, it is not. It is a class 6 felony, which is just one step above a misdemeanor. So it's a much lighter charge than homicide, which is a class 1 felony. Did you see the reaction when the judge denied bond? They didn't really give much of a reaction. And so attorneys counsel their clients to show as little emotion as possible. So that's not surprising. Do I think Naresh's lawyer knows the truth? I do not think Naresh has confessed to him. I think he might have his suspicions, but it doesn't matter. His job is to defend his client to the best of his ability, regardless of what suspicions he may have. Bond means bail, means that if he were let out on bond, it means that he would be released from prison, from jail. He's not in prison, he's in jail. He would be released from jail until his trial, as he awaits trial. But he was not, and so he's staying in jail until his trial. They have done some landfill searches, but not official landfill searches, I believe is what Chief Lugo said. So I'm hoping, so we don't really know details about what they've done. Yeah. I don't know why I'm getting so stressed and nervous every time there's a court hearing. I know it is stressful. It's crazy. I was a little bit nervous at the bond hearing on Friday, and I think a lot of people there were. But that was because we didn't know that the prosecution had all of this additional evidence. And so once that started coming out, I think we all became a lot less nervous and then just more heartbroken. But he was seen dumping trash bags in dumpsters, so does it mean he'll be charged with murder? Yeah, I think so. I think he'll absolutely be charged with murder at some point. What evidence do I mean? I mean the all of the video of him dumping the trash bags for the most part, and then the bloody bath mat that they found. That was all new evidence. But couldn't defense say they can't prove what was in the bags? Absolutely. However, couldn't defense say they can't prove what was in the bags? Absolutely. However, hold on. Okay, they're making me do a puzzle. Okay. Yes, defense could say that. However, they did recover bags from the donation bin that have blood on them. So if they can show that that's Mamta's blood, that's a whole different ballgame. Do I think more evidence is going to come this Friday? I don't know. We might learn a little bit. I don't think we're going to learn a lot more. Just because the motion is regarding that arrest warrant. And so the prosecution isn't going to give up anything they don't have to give up. So I don't think we're going to get any new evidence on Friday. They have not found Mamta yet, no. Do you think the videos will be made public at some point, but probably not until trial? Even the blood would be circumstantial evidence, right? Yeah. But a lot of convictions happen on circumstantial evidence. That's okay, I think what the prosecution is going to try to prove is that the amount of blood is not compatible with life. So that based on the amount of blood, the person is no longer living. And we don't know what other evidence could be in those bags that they have recovered, right? The ones from the donation bin. If there are other bodily fluids, you know, spinal fluid, brain fluid, anything like that. All right. So I think I'm going to have to hop off here soon and head home. Got some other stuff going on today. Yeah, the water usage, the 150 gallons in an hour, was pretty crazy too. Yeah, I don't know about the brain diagram. All right, so yeah, I'll post a video today. I'm going to really go through the paperwork that I got emailed by the court, like all the motions and stuff, see if there's anything there to talk about. But we're going to talk about the body cam footage and, really kind of go over that more too, now that I have that video as well. So you can expect that. But, thank you everybody for coming, even though I didn't have like an actual hearing update today. We will have a hearing update on Friday though. So that will be interesting. Like I said, I don't think we're going to really, thank you, Debbie. I don't think we're really going to get any new evidence on Friday, but I think it's going to definitely be an interesting hearing. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about on Friday. So we will do that. Yes, the body cam footage also made me very angry, but all right, y'all. So we'll talk more about the body cam footage later, but I'm going to hop off now and, head back home. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Bye.